Okie dokie, Pickle. It is Mailbag Friday. Mailbag Friday brought to you by our Helpful Honda dealers, Pickle.
The North Texas Honda dealers want to help you score great deals on award-winning Hondas. Stop by your Helpful Honda dealer today or visit ntxhondadealers.com to learn more.
Buy a Honda.
Great cars.
There you go. Great cars. All right, Pickle. We want to get to your questions. High school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel. Anything you got in the Facebook comments, Twitch comments, YouTube comments, or the text line, 972-532-6665. But I do have a topic. I want to talk about Lee Sanderlin. Now, maybe you don't know the name Lee Sanderlin.
Mm-hmm.
You either definitely know who it is or you don't know who it is at all.
There's no in between.
Lee Sanderlin writes for the Clarion Ledger in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi. Lee Sanderlin his Twitter bio says that he does investigations and politics for the Clarion Ledger. That's neat.
It is.
This has nothing to do with that.
It gets more neat.
Because he started tweeting last night that he had lost his fantasy football league.
Yes.
He had come in last place in his fantasy football league. And of course, and this is not rare, that in fantasy football leagues or things like that, if you come in first, you get a prize. And if you come in last,
you usually have to do something.
You got to pay.
Yeah.
You got to pay. It's usually not money. Maybe, everybody already chips in their money. They don't ask you to do that. You got to do dumb things.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to wear a suit for a month, something like that.
Our Dave Campbell's one is that the loser has to show up in formal attire.
Yeah.
So for girls, it would be a full-length
formal
ball gown. For guys, Rudy and Shahan, we are still waiting for them to have tux, like actual tux.
Like a tuxedo.
Not suit.
They have to dress up like a clown. Things like that.
Yeah.
Right? The payment for Lee Sanderlin, though, and his fantasy football league
was genius.
Was that he was sentenced to 24 hours
in a Waffle House.
In a Waffle House. He had to spend 24 consecutive hours in a Waffle House. Now, there's one other caveat to the rule.
Yes.
Which is, for every waffle that he ate during that 24 hours, he got to take an hour off.
Right.
So, he got to shorten his punishment by an hour. So, if you eat one waffle, you only spend 23 hours in the Waffle House, et cetera, et cetera. So he started tweeting yesterday about 4 p.m. He showed up at the Waffle House. And before I get to his story and what he actually ended up doing, let's talk a little bit about Waffle House waffles, okay? Because if you're thinking of an Eggo,
you're wrong. Even if you're thinking of like a Texas-sized one from a hotel, these
are big boys.
Like
they apparently have
plate
They apparently
size.
have 350 calories per
waffle.
Per waffle. These are big.
Realistically, like you can cut them into fourths, and that's about the size of an Eggo.
Correct. And so, Pickle, I want to ask you before we get to his story and what he ended up doing.
Yes.
You're faced, first of all, an elite bet payoff. It's a fantastic.
Absolutely. I also have to.
It's relatively harmless.
Right.
Right. It's relatively harmless, except the person who has to undergo
do it.
Right. Like.
I also like that you can choose your fate here.
Yeah.
You could try and just house as many waffles and get out of there, or you could just sit there for 24 hours.
You could sit there and just eat 24 waffles and leave.
Yep.
You could.
You could. Or you could just sit there for 24 hours and never eat a waffle.
Be there. Right.
So I like that.
So there's a little bit of choose your own adventure here. But Pickle, you're somebody who prides themselves, who talks a big game, a large game about being a big eater.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your strategy here. What's your play? What's your strategy for this bet payoff?
So there's two scenarios, and from what I gathered from reading through the Twitter thread, kind of bases my scenarios off of this. So one, if I'm not allowed to bring like anything with me to do, like read a book or maybe even a computer to sit there and watch Netflix or something like that, then I think my strategy is just try and house back some waffles.
So So from what we understand, you are able to bring whatever you want. So he had a bunch of podcasts lined up.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he wanted to, he could watch stuff on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
You got to charge it, of course. That's a problem. But you just have to spend 24 hours in the Waffle House. They didn't say that you couldn't bring things. So
if
I would
that's
say
the case, then I say my goal is to at least put down, over the course of time, at least put down 6 waffles.
And get to 18 hours.
And get to 18 hours. Because I feel like if you can stretch it out right, 18 hours is like, okay, you're going to be in the Waffle House for a long time, but it's kind of fun. You know, I'm sure, like, he got to know the people there. Like, it's an experience. I don't think I could house 6 of those waffles. They're massive. They're also very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
If you're adding syrup on top of it, that's even more sweet, and I don't do sweet, so waffles would be a pain for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say at least over the course, try to get it down to 6. Try to get 6 waffles down.
Okay.
The other thing is, too, like he said, underrated. The moment the waffle goes cold, difficult.
So
hard to do. So you got to be ready to house the waffle when you order the waffle.
Here's my play. Okay, so let's work under the assumption that you're showing up at 4 p.m. like he did.
Yeah.
Okay, you're showing up at 4 p.m. First of all, a lot of this comes down to prep. Okay, you got to know you're going into it. So if I'm showing up at 4 p.m. on a Thursday, my last meal is lunch on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I am fasting. I am walking in starving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking in dying to eat something. Okay, here's the play. 4 o'clock. You sit down and you order 4 waffles. Right then. You order a stack. Mm-hmm. Right then, and you pound those things out as quickly as you can. Yep. I'm talking, you got to get those things down in 15 minutes before your brain realizes what you're doing.
That you're full, yeah.
You've got to do that, okay? And at that point, so let's say you're done, and that's easier said than done for me. But, let's say you get those 4 waffles down in 30 minutes, okay? It's now 4:30, but you're already down 4 hours. Mm-hmm. You are taking the next 8 hours off.
Yes, absolutely.
You're drinking water and coffee, okay? You're drinking water and coffee, and then what's going to happen is at 12:30 or so, 12:30, 1:30 maybe if you want to go there, you're ordering another 4, okay? You're ordering another 4, and again, you're pounding them out. Just go, eat them as quickly as you can. Because at that point, you have gotten 8 waffles down. You get there at 4. You're leaving at 8 a.m., you're done. You spend the night in a Waffle House, but that to me is the best, the most doable part of it. You could even, if you want to eat those 4 waffles at 4 o'clock, you could even wait till 7 a.m.
Right.
If you wanted to.
And then just shave off the last 4 hours.
Go. Right. And pound out those waffles.
Yeah.
The key is speed.
Mm-hmm.
The key is absolutely positively speed. You cannot give your body time to react to the torture you're putting, the concrete you're putting in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's the big thing is you cannot let the waffles get cold.
No.
Once
they're done, you gotta
that's why I might
hungry
go
when you eat.
I might say as soon as I finish these 2, give me the next 2. I don't know if I would do 4 at once.
That's interesting.
Because I feel like the last quarter of them would get pretty, which is basically a whole waffle, would get cold by the time you're even able to get there.
Maybe
you order 2 and say when you see I've got 3 bites left, I need the next 2 waffles on my table.
Because here's the thing. Yeah. Another important part of this is you got to make sure you're not in there alone. You got to make sure I think at the beginning of the night. Everyone in there, every Waffle House employee, I'm slipping $15 or $20.
Yep.
And I'm saying, I need you on this wall with me.
Yep.
We've got to get through this together.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's going to cost me some money because the shift's going to change and I got to pay them too.
Good.
But you know what? It's better than being miserable.
Oh, and
because
they're enjoying this.
Because you do not want to be there. You don't, let's be real. It's not feasible to eat 24 waffles. Mm-hmm. It's probably not feasible to eat 12.
No.
Right?
No.
And you also...
yes, but these are, again, if you haven't seen them, they're massive
You
waffles.
also do not want to be there for 24 hours.
No.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. So that's my play. My play is to manage... First of all, make relationships within the Waffle House. Mm-hmm. Manage your workload here. Come in hungry, pound out 4, and then you've got... What? You've got 16 hours to sit and digest and then do it again.
And that's what I'm saying. With the being able to do stuff like read a book or
Yes.
watch a movie or something, that's going to help it go by a lot quicker. The other thing, just of note for, like, if anyone was wondering, if he went and threw up, it did not count against him. Which you could look at it as one of two ways.
Yeah, but I'm not going to pull the trigger.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, if anyone was wondering, it didn't count against him because, those guys just wanted to see him pound down and be as miserable as possible with waffles because they knew even if he threw up, he was going to keep going. Clearly, this guy was a good sport.
So here's what our hero of this story, Lee Sanderlin, did.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up, I think he took a very bad path because he basically ordered like 2 waffles and then sat.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tried to order another one, and he's just staring at it. And the longer you stare at it, it's terrible. One tweet I saw was he was on his 4th waffle. He's like 3.5 hours in. He's on his 4th waffle, and he says something like they're going down like concrete.
Yep.
It's like, that's terrible. That's a bad path.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, he ended up eating 9 waffles.
Which is a lot of waffles.
And getting out of there in 15 hours.
Yeah. Which I feel like overall was pretty
admirable.
Commendable.
Pretty admirable. But I think he took a bad path.
Yeah.
And I think you got to think this through a little bit better.
Yeah.
You got to game plan better, plain and simple. So, anyway,
if you haven't seen the thread, go look at it on Twitter because it's he posts pictures and stuff.
Guys, there's a New York Times article about it.
Yeah, it's
enjoyable.
enjoyable.
So you can go find. Anyway, that's the story of our hero of the day, Lee Sanderlin. Shout out you, Lee Sanderlin. All right. Do we have any other questions?
We sure do. A lot of football questions. We'll start off with, is Lampasas going through a rebuild? And the answer is yes. They lost the guy.
Yeah. So look, part of it is obviously you lose you lose Ace Whitehead. But another thing that's super underrated about them is that they lost a lot of their defense too. And I know their defense kind of took a back seat to the offense last year, but they lose a lot of their defense last year. I believe they only bring back 4 starters on that defense. Now, if you pick up the 2020 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, you'll probably see their name hypothetically in the expanded rankings. Mm-hmm. What I will say though is that you lose. They are a version. Let's use Hallettsville as an example. Yesterday we revealed that Hallettsville was the number 10 team in Dave Campbell's Texas Football in 3A Division 1. Okay,
yes.
Had them at number 10. They bring back actually a good amount. But they don't bring back the guy. They don't bring back Jonathan Brooks. Lampasas is in a lot of ways a bit of a worse situation than that, in the sense that they both lose the guy,
but they also don't have
they
the supporting cast.
They also lose a lot of the worker bees and a lot of the supporting cast, and so that's why we're a little concerned about Lampasas. I will say I think Troy Rogers is a tremendous coach, and I think that he's going to have them back. I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff and go 4-6.
No.
But are they top 10 right now? In my opinion, and in the opinion of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, no. Right now. Now, happy to be wrong, but maybe they've got a. I was going to say ace up their sleeve. That's dumb. Don't say that, Greg. Maybe they've got somebody waiting in the wings that we just don't know about.
Right.
But from where we're sitting, there's still a little bit. There's a couple of pieces they have to replace, not just the superstar, to get them there. So that's my thought on Lampasas.
Up next, same kind of question for Canyon, which we know got a new head coach this year.
Yeah,
so
a new head coach, and this is
it shifts everything when that happens.
And they are, I believe, they're the only state semifinalist that's not ranked in the top 10. Mm-hmm. And so people are like, well, wait, what's going on? First of all, there's a couple of things. I think that, first of all, they lose a lot. Lose a coach. They lose a lot of the defense. They lose I think they only bring back 3 starters on offense. Mm-hmm. Lose a coach. I mean, a lot of moving parts there. A lot of change there, which makes me a little bit nervous. The other thing I'll say, and this is talking a little bit out of both sides of my mouth, and I admit that, I think Region 1 is probably the weakest region in 4A Division 1. Part of it is that there's just not that many teams.
Right, I was going to say, like, Canyon's in a 4-team district.
I think there's 18 teams in Region 1, so part of it is that there's just not that many teams. The other part of it is that I think they're all really bunched together. Mm-hmm. That I think Canyon and Dumas and Springtown and Decatur, who's doing some weird things right now. Mm-hmm. school board. All those teams are pretty tight.
Yes.
And so
they have to go through each other.
They have to go through each other. And so I think right now, if I were to pick a Region 1 winner, it might be Springtown. I think they bring back a little bit more than Canyon, a little bit more stability there. But it's just, I don't know.
But
Region
I do think
1's
quite
just
a bit
so hard to get a handle on. And I also think that because there is such depth in other regions,
did they promote within? Or am I thinking different? Because I'm pretty sure even if they didn't,
it was pretty late, I want to say.
I'm pretty sure that most of their
Canyon
assistant coaches are still intact.
Yeah, Canyon promote their offense.
Okay, I was going to say, so they're still, that program is still intact.
Part of this
helps.
I think, is just the esteem that we hold Blake Bryan in.
Right, exactly.
And I think he was a superb head coach, and you could replace him with Don Shula, and I'd still be like, have some questions.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at on it.
It's always just a culture shift.
Again, hypothetically, if you were to pick up the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, it wouldn't surprise me if they were ranked. But as far as top 10 is concerned, there's still so many moving parts there.
Mm-hmm. I like this question a lot. Because it's talking about a ranked team, but other team that we are very,
You're only saying that because
pretty high
you don't
on.
like the other questions.
No, I do. Can Stephenville overcome La Vega? And that's a juicy question there, because we talked a lot about where La Vega's at, and I feel like we're high on Stephenville though.
Yeah, I like Stephenville.
A little bit of a dark horse candidate.
I would say they're in that dark horse category. I think that they're a team that I think last year, 6-6, it's kind of a weird year. I do think that, look, this is a third year for Sterling Doty. There's ample reason to believe this is going to be the best year. They're working on a new quarterback, probably going to be Coy Eakin. They're high on him. He was good as a receiver last year.
He's got the size.
Working in a new quarterback. I don't know. Like, can they? Yeah, absolutely, because we have questions about La Vega. I do think that District 5 is probably more wide open than it's been in a while, because it for a long time, for the last couple of years, it's kind of been La Vega. Well, I mean, and they weren't in the same district, but you know what I mean. La Vega, Midlothian Heritage kind of duking it out for the district title. I think those two teams, it's fair to say, have maybe taken a half step back. Has the gap narrowed enough that they can go out there and take it on? I think so. I think it maybe becomes a 3-horse race there. So
if the ceiling of Stephenville is as high as it could be, then there's a dark horse component.
Another interesting thing about Stephenville though is I actually I don't know. I'm a little bit more bullet. Part of it is because I have it in my brain that when Stephenville has a quarterback, they're good, and when Stephenville doesn't have a quarterback, I have questions, right?
Yes.
That's part of it. That's just where my brain is.
Historically is correct.
Right, but the other thing about them is that I think this team could be pretty good defensively, and that's kind of like not what we think about when we think of Stephenville.
It's like the wires are there, but they just don't connect properly.
Right. And so maybe part of it is I just got to get it in my head that this is maybe a different team, and I know Sterling Doty wanted to come in and reinforce the defensive mindset that have made his teams pretty good. So. Yeah, I don't know. District 5's super interesting. In a lot of past couple of years, it's kind of been like wake me when it's over, and we'll see where it ended up falling and stuff. This year, I think it's a lot more interesting. But good, just a really good group of coaches there at District 3.
A good point that Step brought up too is Stephenville does not fear Argyle.
That's another thing.
They're not
if they
in
were to see
their head.
If they were to see him in the playoffs, I mean.
The reoccurring dream of Waco, La Vega, and Argyle.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that Stephenville will toe up. They'll bow up to Argyle.
Yeah.
They've beaten Argyle in the playoff. They've beaten. Let me go out on a limb here. They have beaten Argyle teams that are better than them in the playoffs before, simply by coming up with some schemes and having
just
a couple of individual playmakers.
Crazy man in the fight.
Yeah,
type
a little bit
mentality.
And I won't go too far into the nuts and bolts of it, but in a lot of Argyle runs a 10-1 defense. They go up and they basically they run press man on the outside, and Stephenville has historically. They've had tall receivers, big tall receivers that they can get into favorable one-on-one matchups, and they've exploited it. The difference when Argyle has beaten them has been Argyle's offense has matched
you
the
just can't
score.
Stop. Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the things is that for Argyle, they are like, I think that's right. Is that Argyle is this looming specter in Region 2.
Mm-hmm.
Stephenville's not afraid of them. Salina's that's a different. I'm sorry, that was years ago whenever they were in the same region, but or the same district. But I would say that there are teams that are afraid of. I won't say afraid. There are teams that Argyle has their number, and Stephenville generally isn't that team.
No.
And so that's interesting. If they were to match up, it would be a very interesting matchup. One other thing on La Vega. This is just a little thing. Don, I've said this before on the show, but Don Hyde's squads at La Vega, they don't. This is too harsh. They don't actually really care if they lose non-district games.
Right.
Like, they schedule difficult non-district games because they want to get tested. They are a team, they're a program that is built to get better each week.
And they don't care as much about the numbers record portion of it.
If they win a state title at 10-6, cool beans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they care about peaking at the right time. They are a program that, in my estimation, has always valued that.
Absolutely.
Maybe more than any program in the state, of like, we're just going to get better. We have our trajectory we want to follow. If that means we get pummeled in week 1, okay. Like, we know where we want to get, and that's where we know how we need to be playing in week 13, not week 3. And so, in a lot of ways, you look at what they've got coming back this year with just 3 starters back on each side of the ball. That, in a lot of ways, lends itself to a classic La Vega team of, we have these questions. The questions will be answered over the course of the first couple of weeks.
Right.
If they get answered in ways that are affirmative, then you may be talking about La Vega as a problem.
Exactly.
That's where I'm at. Okay, what's next? Do 2 more.
Okay, perfect. I've got a question and then a bunch of housekeeping stuff to go through real fast that we can all answer at once.
Gang.
What is your worst fantasy football punishment you've ever experienced?
I don't lose at fantasy football.
I was just fixing to say the same thing. I have never had to go through a punishment because I have never. Now, have I been close? Yes, but I've never actually been last. Knock on wood.
No, and I don't. I've kind of bailed out on fantasy football recently.
Okay.
I haven't done it lately, but maybe I'll get back.
The worst one that was created in a league when I was in college was if you lost, you had to do like an NFL combine, 40-yard dash, the vertical, all that stuff, but you had to chug a beer in between each event. So that was probably the worst one, just because you don't realize how much you're actually, like, you think, oh, I just have to jump, but it's like after you do that, and if you're jumping at the end, you're jumping not very high, you know.
I think I do like the tuxedo bet.
Tuxedo bet's
because
good.
the key to a good bet payoff is
no harm is done.
Has to be harmless, like mostly harmless, except like embarrassment is okay.
You want to as
mostly harmless and can't cost that much.
No.
You know what I mean? You don't want them to be like, oh, I'm going to fork out $3,000 or something. Like,
no.
You know, like the Waffle House bet, 9 waffles, I don't know how much waffle is. $2.50?
Yeah.
Let's say it's $2.50. It's not costing much. And then you give them a fat tip at the end of the night. You know, that water and coffee.
Realistically, that basically pays for your entry fee into the league. Because, I mean, and that's kind of another thing that it's like however much you want to set your entry fee at also kind of negates where you go with your bet. If it's a $20 pay-in, then the bet's not very big. But if some people out there shelling, okay, it's $200 pay-in, then the bet's pretty big at that point.
Okay, and then we had some housekeeping issues.
Yes, so subscribers, I believe, are like, you should be getting your magazines
soon,
next week.
Yeah, I've been telling people like
Probably.
Look for them middle to late next week. And if for some reason, if you're a subscriber and you've been subscribed before the date that we said, which was June 9th, if you've been subscribed before June 9th, if it's not there by like a week from Monday, let us know. Subservice@texasfootball.com, and we can track it down. That we subscriber mags are sent via priority mail, and so they should be getting there relatively quickly this year.
Yeah, 2 to 3 days usually.
2 to 3 days. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, that's subscribers should be getting it probably next week.
Yeah. And then
it'll hit newsstands first week in July.
Yep. The other things to note is, yes, the 5A rankings will come out on Monday. The 6A rankings will come out on Tuesday. And then we will have a show on Wednesday.
I don't know. You want to do a show? Yeah, we can do a show. We'll do Powers. We have Powers.
Yeah. So we'll do a show on Wednesday. And then, yes, we are off Thursday, Friday, because we will be at State, texasfootball.com/7on7.
Yeah. We'll be at State. And
Texan Live. you can watch those.
So we'll be here Monday for 5A, Tuesday for 6A, Wednesday for recruiting,
And then off.
And then there'll be a new episode of the pools, the state championship pools come out on Sunday evening.
Yeah, most likely Monday.
Oh, really?
Sunday's Father's Day, and
Oh.
some of the coaches, I can
Got
pull
it.
back the door. Some of the coaches were like, our phones will absolutely blow up all day on Father's Day. So we're thinking they will be up by Monday morning. Yeah.
Monday morning for sure.
Maybe Sunday evening, but Monday morning for sure we'll have the
But
polls
we'll have
up.
them on TexasFootball.com for the state championship. We'll have a new episode of Tep and Step for you previewing the state tournament. We got a whole bunch of coverage.
Step's
for you.
got a premium look into the state championship stuff coming out too. So if you're a subscriber, you'll get tons of 7-on-7 content flooding next week.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe.